Yo Diddy's arrest has taken Hollywood by storm, but there might be more than meets the eye with this because the deeper you go into it, the more you realize how messed up the entertainment industry really is. As far as Diddy is concerned, he might have been the one responsible for what really happened to Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson conspiracy theories are back on the table. P. Diddy's sexual blackmail ring puts Michael Jackson's whole life story in a whole new light. So this new lawsuit just came out that shows tons of evidence that P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, has been running a sexual blackmail operation very much like Jeffrey Epstein, but in the rap and music industry for basically 30 years. And in that lawsuit, we learned that his head of security while he's running the sexual blackmail ring is this guy named Fahim Muhammad, who before working for Diddy was the head of security for Michael Jackson when he was only 21. And he was one of the first people on the scene when Michael Jackson died. And before we go to Michael Jackson, the most important part of the Diddy case to bring across is the fact that the record executives at the very top knew what P. Diddy was doing. They were attending the parties with underage girls where they were spiking drinks. They were deeply involved in Diddy's personal life, and all evidence points to them supporting his operation, or at the very least turning a...
So why all remember how MJ was accused of behaving inappropriately with kids? That news almost ruined his legacy as the king of pop, and a lot of people actively started boycotting his music, believing that he was a danger to society. But why didn't that start happening to Diddy? How come his crimes went unnoticed for so long, but Michael's didn't?
Repeatedly accused of inappropriate things with children. And most of us eventually took that story and were like, okay, that's messed up. Michael Jackson's a bad dude, without necessarily taking into account the way that the press had been smearing him in really messed up ways for years. And then a bunch of documentaries were made before and after his death, smearing him left, right, and center. But the Diddy lawsuit directly points out and reminds us that the people that own the record companies also own the media publishing businesses that can print the tabloids. They have close relationships with the people that own the newspapers and the magazines that print these stories, that make these movies. That's how they offer record contracts to people and then get them to the top of the charts right away. That is, if they play ball.
Now look, man, just one look at Diddy's lawsuit was enough for people on the internet to start connecting the dots. The truth is that powerful people like Diddy control the news corporations, man, and for some reason Michael Jackson was always on the outs of that inner circle. But Diddy remained protected by those things, man?
Were investigating Jackson for 10 full years, and they presented no evidence of criminal conduct on Jackson's part. The files have been declassified and you can view them yourself. They include a raid of his home where they confiscated all electronics. This is their ID number that you'll see. We're talking computers, hard drives, cell phones, where they say the amount of gigabytes. And then following are pages like this where they have the ID of the different devices and they all say nothing. Literally, they all say this. They found nothing. But that didn't stop the press from running made-up stories about how secret FBI files revealed that Jackson had paid millions in hush money to dozens of boys he had abused, despite the FBI files directly negating that statement. And to be clear, Jackson was a weird dude. He grew up in one of the most effed up environments imaginable. He had basically no father figure and was kept from his mother. And the press has repeatedly tried to make him seem even weirder to us. But sometimes they publish articles trying to make him seem like wacko jacko, which is super racist. We'll get into that another time. But they actually wind up just showing his humanity, like how he's shocked by the real world because he doesn't understand it. In this article, they explain how when he first saw a homeless person, he was like, "What's that?" And his driver had to explain to him what a homeless person was. And he was like, "Holy shit." And he made them stop the car and he watched for a while, then gave the woman $300. And then when they saw that a man that she was with was about to try to take it from her, Jackson went and gave him $300. And she was crying and said that he had saved her. And then he spent the rest of that day driving around giving out $100 bills to homeless people, saying how it's just amazing that the world could be so messed up. He sang about this.
The truth is, a lot of people seem to believe that the media turned Michael Jackson into a horrible person to keep the spotlight away from Diddy and his crimes. I mean, think about it. Once we all start looking at the evidence, it gets obvious that there ain't nothing that can actually implicate Michael Jackson, which is the complete opposite of what we can say about Diddy right now. Everything comes back to Clive Davis, who's known to be Diddy's mentor and the very person who taught him how to use his power and fame to abuse other people.
One of the far more interesting and relevant claims is that Michael Jackson said a lot of things about Jewish people, particularly later in his career. And then he was smeared to all hell and back as an anti-Semitic Nazi, except that when you search YouTube for the actual original phone call recording where he called Jews leeches, YouTube won't let you see it. You can't find it. Instead, they feed you a bunch of videos that are of this other phone call that seems to be his doctor that allegedly killed him, calling him when he was in the midst of heavy sedation and getting him to talk on the phone in slurred speech about how shitty his life was while he was completely fucked up on drugs. That his doctor that was talking to him probably knew he was high on. Like, I don't know, just feels like a smear job to me. But when you search it on Twitter, you can find those videos no problem. Just saying. And that's not because X supports anti-Semitic content. That's because X allows you to get to primary sources. Because if you want to know how history happened, you need to be able to access the primary sources. And the first video I made about the Diddy case, where I broke down the whole thing, I went through a whole bunch of music executives that are involved in that case or that come about when you start looking into it. And every single person that I showed in that video that was not black was Jewish. Because whether you like it or not, whether you want to call people names about it or not, the vast majority of the power in the music industry is controlled by Jewish men. Another good example who we have not talked about yet is Lou Pearlman, who is famous for the boy bands NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. Not trying to say that all Jewish people are bad. People are just people. They make their own choices. But in the music industry, there are a fuckload of Jewish men that are doing shitty things to people. And in a few other industries too, when you think about it. We'll make another video about that.
During his final days, Michael Jackson said his security was a man who's been linked to all of Diddy's dirty crimes, and that raises a lot of questions about Michael Jackson's suspicious death. The fact that he was never even questioned is definitely suspicious.
Up with this guy who has direct connections to Diddy's sexual blackmail operations, who was directly complicit in covering up crimes for Diddy and covering up murders, covering up drug use, prostitution, human trafficking. This is the guy that was protecting Michael Jackson the day that he died. The day that he was overdosed on drugs after he was probably already asleep, and the only witnesses, there were no witnesses to the crime. I'm honestly kind of surprised that this guy never got checked into as a suspect. I'm not trying to make any allegations, I'm just saying anyone can inject a dude with lots of propofol. So, knowing what you know now about the entertainment industry, about the world, about how this all works, about Israel, I suggest you re-examine the story of Michael Jackson and you re-listen to some of his lyrics. I bet if I include the song, they'll take the video down for copyright as a way to silence this video, but you should probably re-listen to the lyrics for "They Don't Really Care About Us." And if you find the censored version, you should probably find out what the words that they censored are. And looking into this whole story of Michael Jackson, the one thing that I couldn't stop thinking about is, man, that sounds a lot like Kanye West. But that's probably just a coincidence, right?
It doesn't just stop there, right? Because people are now calling out Oprah Winfrey for throwing Michael Jackson under the bus over false allegations in that documentary Leaving Neverland, while continuing to be best buddies with actual predators like Harvey Weinstein.
Diana Ross and Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. I knew you was going to say Michael Jackson.
Those are the only two people in the world that I ever wanted to just go and be a fan.
Right.
And fan out. Although I did go front row with Rihanna because that's my baby.
Come on.
I did do that. That's my baby.
Wait, so you never got to see Michael Jackson?
I never got to see Michael. I met him, but I've never got to see him in person. You know, it's so crazy. Rodney Jerkins, he was working on Michael Jackson's album, and he was like, yo, I was playing Queen Bitch for Michael Jackson. Mm-hmm. And he was like, man, I love how she raps behind the beat and it's so sexy. I was like, he said that?
What?
He was like, yeah. So I'm telling you that to say, we're trying to get you on the album.
Stop.
I was like, what? I think my leg is still trying to recover because I fell out the seat. And
oh my God.
Yeah.
You didn't get
on
So
let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
Puffy was my manager at the time.
Okay.
And when we brought it to Puffy, Puffy was like, Puffy can be a little bit controlling because I'm like his little sister. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't know if him and Rodney were going through something at the time, but it just never happened because I was a kid, so I wasn't handling my business. But I remember seeing Rodney and he going, yo, what's up? I've been calling and you don't want to be on Michael Jackson's album? I was like, what? Are you crazy? Of course I do. But I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. So that was a missed opportunity, not due to anything I did, but it just, it was out of my control. Wow. And I really, 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 really just want to go somewhere and die.
Oh.
No, I'm just joking.
I literally, I still get teared up. Like, I'll be like, oh,
And don't even start talking about all those kids she allegedly had kidnapped and sold into torture and slavery from Hawaii. Oprah's straight up a monster, man.
Ooh, they're running. Twitter is both a social media company and a crime scene. He first posted it back in 2022, and then he reposted it in September of 2024. Last night, Usher had gone through and deleted all of his posts off of X. Now this morning, Pink, the singer, the one who hates Donald Trump, and she's like, fuck you if you vote for that lady, also deleted all of her social media except for 2 reposts. Earlier, she had over 4,300 posts, and now the only posts remaining in her feed are 2 reposts from 2016 and 2017. Side note, one of those reposts is from Keith Olbermann, who is the worst. He's just the fucking worst. And then her second repost is about the Dixie Chicks, so both are political, which is interesting. She deleted all the ones about her music. She deleted all the ones about her upcoming album. Why would she do that but leave 2 reposts that are political? And then I went and I tried to find like pictures of Pink and P. Diddy or something, but all you can find is the stuff that was Pink that was found in P. Diddy's house. Can't talk about it here. Go look it up and you'll see what I'm talking about. But I did go to Threads on Instagram, which is whatever. It's like Instagram's X or Twitter. And I found this thread, and this is from a Hollywood producer that worked with Pink on her song Misunderstood. And he stated, I went to Diddy's house one time with Pink for an after party after a very popular club we frequented it. My instinct told me to leave, although I really wanted to stay. I felt vibes like something was creepy was about to happen, yada, yada, yada. Lots of stories. He has no reason to embellish the truth. With that said, he's glad he never stayed because a lot of you who were mega producers and artists back then, that took the bait and now have to deal with the truth. The fallout. He was also on the Kelly Clarkson show, and his name is Damian Elliott. Twitter is both a social media company and a crime scene. I think you're about to find out one of the main reasons that Elon Musk had bought Twitter back when he did. Because Twitter 1.0 had come under fire for a whole lot of things, from soliciting minors in DMs to different posts that were made about things that people would do to minors, adults would do. I mean, there was some stuff, and he has it all. Elon Musk has it.
More recently, Lil' Kim has also gone on the record to talk about Diddy's inherent hate for Michael Jackson, to the point where he stopped her from collaborating on a song with him. If that doesn't tell you about the kind of person Diddy is, I don't know what will, man. After Diddy's arrest, everything is in motion now. Tons of celebrities have started deleting their tweets and social media posts just so nothing can be linked back to Diddy, because the truth is, almost everybody in the music industry knew what Diddy was up to, but nobody ever said anything because they were too intimidated by his power.
What's happening with P. Diddy isn't the distraction, it's the point. Many people are posting how what's being talked about with Puff Daddy or P. Diddy is a distraction from Trump's second would-be assassinator. We're getting too close to finding out who the assassination attempt person was. No, that's not what it was. What's going on with P. Diddy is the point. It's the point to all of this. Gotta do something about these missing children grabbed up by perverts. Too many incidences. Fast trial. F-day penalty. No party like a P. Diddy party. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, now P. Diddy. And P. Diddy's got it all on tape. He's got, 15 years of tapes of star-studded celebrities doing unthinkable things to minors. Why is Kamala Harris surrounding herself with Hollywood when Hollywood is falling? Who was the district attorney in California during the time when all of this was happening? Because these allegations against P. Diddy and all of these other Hollywood elites, they're not new. They've been going on for years. Why is it just now being brought up? Why did Danny Masterson just now get held accountable for what he did? Why is P. Diddy just now sitting in jail after, 15 years of this stuff? Why is it just now that Kim Porter, who is P. Diddy's ex-girlfriend, now just coming out with her book? After she passed away mysteriously from pneumonia in 2018, why just now? What's happening in Hollywood and with P. Diddy and the rest of them is not the distraction, and it is the thing that you should be talking about. Did you know that back in the 16th century, the royal elites thought that they could stay youthful by bathing in the blood of virgins? Did you know that here in 2024, that is a topic that is still being talked about, that is still being looked into, that is still actively being used? Did you know that there are still thousands and thousands and thousands of migrant children that are unaccounted for that just disappeared at the border? We gotta do something about all these missing kids. What changed and why now? Political theater is the distraction. Everything that is going on with Hollywood and all of these people, this is the point, and this is what you need to be paying attention to. Because P. Diddy is gonna sing like a bird, and it's all gonna
The sad part is that it's not just celebrities at this point. Diddy's whole web of crimes extends all the way out to some of America's biggest politicians who let all of this happen right under their noses. Why? Well, that's because they're in on the freaky stuff themselves. What's the point of being a politician or like a supreme lord of the land if you ain't out there taking care of honeys?
Guy, Jonathan Odie. And way back in 2018, before the Cassie lawsuit, before the Lil Rod lawsuit, before they raided Diddy's home, before they arrested Diddy, he claimed that he was a Diddy sex slave and that he had sex with Cassie and Diddy multiple times. He claims he contracted herpes, he sued them, he won. He claims they're going to try to kill Trump and he's trying to warn Trump. He claims a lot of things. And some of them are just out there, but some of them have been directly corroborated by things we've learned since. And in this first video, we're going to dig into what he calls the hip-hop agenda. But first, if you're not familiar with what happened and what this dude did to get arrested, let's watch a tape. So this is security camera footage from Trump National Hotel, Doral, Miami, Florida. And this is from back in 2018. And it's sped up, and there's a couple places where the time lapses, and I won't show you the whole thing. But basically, this guy, Jonathan Odie, walks in with a gun. Somewhere he's got, this is it, just time lapsed. He's got a giant American flag. He drapes it all across the counter. He's pulls down the chandelier, he said. He shoots some rounds at the ceiling, and then he basically just stands there and waits for police to come. The following is a mandatory tinfoil hat zone. I've been going back to the guy that shot up the Trump Hotel back in 2018 and listening to the interview he gave in the hospital before he was put in jail. And we're about to go Diddy, the rap industry, drug smuggling, but also Trump, Obama, Hillary, human trafficking, the Black Boule, everything. This shit is so wild, and it's gonna take multiple videos to parse out. We're talking about this guy, Jonathan Odie. And way back in 2018, before the Cassie lawsuit, before the Lil Rod lawsuit, before they raided Diddy's home, before they arrested Diddy, he claimed that he was a Diddy sex slave and that he had sex with Cassie and Diddy multiple times. He claims he contracted herpes, he sued them, he won. He claims they're going to try to kill Trump and he's trying to warn Trump. He claims a lot of things. And some of them are just out there, but some of them have been directly corroborated by things we've learned since. And in this first video, we're going to dig into what he calls the hip-hop agenda. But first, if you're not familiar with what happened and what this dude did to get arrested, total interview is 33 minutes long, and I spent like 3 hours last night transcribing it all and trying to figure out his voice because he's got a super weird voice. And I've been digging through corroborating all the crazy things he says in this interview. But one of the most interesting things is about the hip-hop agenda. Before we get to that, let's do the Diddy stuff, because he made all these claims before anyone officially knew anything about Diddy. Check this out.
Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself.
Yeah. I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard lots of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with people and stuff, and I was like a sex slave, okay? For them, that's what I was. That's all right? I caught herpes, and I came back and I sued him for the herpes and won. But they did Mark Garagos and Ben Mercedes were his attorneys, okay? And Christopher Leon's here was my attorney. They asked me to turn in that, which was the video recording, and I did so.
Looking into the lawyers he just named, there's all kinds of dirt down that rabbit hole, but that's for another video. But when you watch the interview, you can tell that the investigators are like, this guy's fucking schizophrenic. What the hell is he talking about? And he like keeps on trying to like redirect him without making him feel defensive, as though they don't believe him. But now we know that what he said about Diddy was 100% on point. Like in a way that you could only know if you actually were a Diddy sex slave.